Welcome to NASPA Tonight. I'm your host, Josh Greenway. This is the weekly live show where we talk about all things Scrabble. This week, I am very pleased to be joined by my friend, Jason Ubeika. Jason, how are you?
I am well. Thanks, Josh.
Fantastic. Let's get some IDs up here. There we go. We've got you listed as almost a Scrabble expert. One of these days.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I want to do. I want to provide a little bit of an introduction for people who may not know you. I don't think there are that many people who don't know you because you've been playing for an awful long time. 20 years.
Pretty close to 20, yeah. This is the 20th year of competitive Scrabble for me. First tournament was 99.
Pretty good. Yeah. So, 335 tournaments, over 3,500 games, streaming. You know, at 5,000 games, you get like a nice little plaque.
Yeah, I've cleared off a spot on the shelf for that, yeah. It's ready to go.
In your day job, you are the VP of an accounting firm, partner of the accounting firm, specializing in U.S. taxes for people living in Canada. Mm-hmm. You, and more importantly, on the Scrabble circuit, you met your lovely wife, Shelley. Is that right?
I did indeed, yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? How did the two of you meet? Where did you meet? Stuff like that.
Okay, well, we met in Albany at one of Annette Tedesco's tournaments. It was the 2006 New Year's tournament, which was actually my first Albany tournament, as it turns out. I knew of Shelley because she had even back then, a pretty strong online presence. I remember seeing her name thrown around here and there. I read her live journal blog. For those of you who were online back then, that was the place for Scrabble players to blog at that time. And she wrote a lot of interesting stuff. And of course, before the tournament, I went on Cross Tables, which is basically Scrabble Tinder, and you look at the headshots of everyone there who's coming to the tournament, and I saw Shelley was going to be there, so I wanted to meet her, and I did in fact meet her. It was actually Roger Coleman who introduced us. I would have reached out to her at some point, but Roger just conveniently took care of that for me, introduced me, and the rest is history.
That's fantastic. I love Cross Tables as Scrabble Tinder. I'm always waiting for Cross Tables to serve as somebody's alibi in a court case. Like, this is where I was on this date and time. And anyway, Cross Tables is great. Now, in the lead up to this episode, I described you as one of the nicest guys in Scrabble. And I think that's true. And to underline the point, Jason here volunteered to come into the studio, anyway, thank you very much for that. I think that's going to make it more fun.
Oh, no
for
problem.
Us anyway.
Yeah. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't really have confidence in my audiovisual capabilities, my laptop. So I figured this was the safest way to go about it.
For sure. We've got some people. Any comments you want to throw out there? Shelley's throwing out a couple of comments saying, what a cutie you are. Adam Henderson disagrees with almost an expert. Says you're straight up an expert. Do you think that's true?
I don't know. I think I fall solidly in that ST range, the 16 to 1800 expert range. It depends on how you define expert. I am usually over 1600. For some people, that's a benchmark. For some people, it's more like, and there has been a bit of ratings inflation in recent years.
Seems like 1800. You know, that 1600 is ST. Actually, we've done that for some guests. It just says ST on there. And I think we even had, hopes to be a ST one day listed under there as well. James Curley, also shout out to my LJ peeps. So that's good. Now, speaking of Albany, that was one of the things that I wanted to cover tonight. Yep. Albany is really picking up steam here. July 4th coming up in 2 weeks, something like that.
Yep.
I can't believe it. I am one of the co-organizers of that event. There's still lots to do, but the good news is we got lots of people coming. So I wanted to say, if you're interested in playing July 4, certainly get in touch with me or Kieran O'Connor. We're accepting all players at this point. Hotel block is open until June the 20th, which is, I guess, Thursday, something like that. we redid the deal with the hotel to accommodate you. Is that
and
right?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I called up to get a room, and they had just filled up the last room, so I reached out to Kieran and Josh, and the next day, miraculously,
It's like magic.
Like magic.
Absolutely.
There were a few more rooms. So yeah, they're get them while the getting's good.
Very good. So I want to encourage more people to come. We're going to have a lot of fun there. July 4. There are certainly some specific things that we do there, like we're going to hold a memorial for Annette. So at all these July 4 tournaments, Annette would hold this barbecue at her house. This will, in effect, be the last barbecue, and it'll be held at her house, sort of run by her son and hosted, I guess, by Kieran and I. I haven't quite worked out all the details, but that's going to be a good time. And for people who don't want to go out to the barbecue, we're also going to do something. We're going to find different ways to pay tribute at the hotel and in the playing room. So, and we're also doing trivia, and there's going to be other stuff. So, and who knows? You might meet the love of your life at this tournament.
You might.
You never know.
Absolutely.
Try to find Roger Coleman. Now, here's the thing. At Albany, we've been roommates before.
We have.
Right? Not this time.
Correct.
Who are you rooming with this time?
Jim Brennan.
Okay, very good. Now, here's what I wanted to do. I didn't prepare you for this.
Uh-oh.
I wanted to say we should put our cards on the table because roommates at Scrabble tournaments is like a real thing, right?
Yeah.
That's what you do. Be like to keep the cost down and stuff like that. Chris Sykes definitely thinks you're an expert, by the way.
Okay, great.
So a lot of people disagreeing. So anyway, Scrabble roommates is a real thing. So I thought we would trade impressions of each other as a Scrabble roommate. Okay. So I don't know what impression you have of me is, but I think my favorite impression of you is I can come back to the room, like in my history, I'll come back to the room fairly late.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what time I come back or how late I come back. You are always in the same position.
Yeah.
You're in front of the computer. You're either doing work, like work, or, something along those lines.
Yeah, Facebook or Xerafin lately.
That's right.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're a night shower. I know that.
Yeah.
And I think you have slippers.
I do often wear slippers, yeah.
All right. Any impressions of me as a roommate? I know those are more facts than impressions.
You're a good roommate, man.
All right.
Yeah. You're courteous, timely.
I like to think I'm timeless, but sure, timely.
I'm just making up words here.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and we also have the dueling CPAP thing.
Oh, we do.
Going on.
Yeah.
So there's no snoring going on.
That's right. Not a peep.
So it may not be that many hours, but there's a lot of quality sleep happening in that room when we room together. We've also driven down to Albany a number of times together.
Yep.
And one of my favorite times is I think we set the land speed record for Toronto, well, I guess Mississauga, to Albany. We went down, and we'll see if you've ever beat this time. Certainly throw it in the comments. But we did it in 5 hours and 20 minutes, no stops whatsoever.
No.
We did not stop to pee. I should say we didn't pee. Not like
speak for yourself. Yeah, no food breaks. I think a quick border passage. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
It was as quick as you can get.
I don't think you can get any quicker. Yeah. So anyway, I want to and shout out to Will Anderson in the comments there saying Jason's LJ handle was one of those solutions. What does that mean?
Oh, it's a steal of my last name.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. A steal is where you take the letters, and if you add a couple more, then you get a word?
Yep.
Okay, so what is the word?
Well, there are two.
Uberkind.
Yeah.
What is it?
There are two-letter seals of Ubeika. No, one of them is bulkier, which is no good.
Okay.
The one I use is Bodkin. I
Bodkin.
believe that's what I used for LJ.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Jim Brennan is saying that you're getting the stream kind of blurry. I don't know why that is, Jim. Maybe if the rest of you are getting it in blur vision, you can let me know in the comments. But, Jim, that may just be a local thing on your Facebook. Okay. Here's one of the other things that I wanted to talk about. I felt like I was in the know about most like Scrabble things, and especially Scrabble tools. I may not use any of them to like get better at Scrabble, but I know of their existence. But I found something brand new this week that other people may know about. Thanks. I don't know if that's Andrea or Evan commenting there from the Yurko profile, but thanks for that. No blur on that side. But this is a tool that I think is really interesting. So let's go into this for a second. Here is what we're doing. RandomRacer.com. Who has heard of this website? Has anyone ever heard of this? Do they know what it is? We're waiting for comments to come in. This is a tool that scrapes data off of annotated games that have been posted to cross tables. And then it presents the information back to you in a really interesting way. This was developed by other Josh Castellano, and it's really cool. I think I may have heard of this once, but I'd like never seen it. And then there was an update that came across, I think, the Westwood Group or something. I think Josh and Chris Light are doing some work for them on, or are refining a tool or something. I don't know if it's work for them, but are refining a tool. And Wespa kind of talked about it, and it said Chris is, one of the co-authors of Xeraphon, and Josh does this thing. So anyway, I dove into it tonight before the show. So I want to show you how this works. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to take a look at Jason's records here. So I'm going to submit his name, and what we're going to get is a lot of detail on this report. Let's see. Is that not going to update? I don't know why that's not updating, folks. Let's see if it just takes a second. Well, this is terrible. Why is that not updating? Okay, we're gonna see if that updates itself. It's randomracer.com. But this shows you. Why is it not updating? I am sorry here, folks. It's because we're on the wrong page. Hold on, let's see. No, it's not working. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of going through this, I'm going to suggest that you check this out on your own. You put your name in, and you're going to see things like all the bingos. Now, remember, this just covers games that are annotated, okay? So it just covers games that are annotated, and it shows you like how many triples were played against you. It tells you how many times you had words challenged off the board, what those words are, what your challenge record is, how many of the letter J you've pulled. Like it really gets into some minute details. So I would suggest that you all check it out because it's a cool, fun tool. Okay, that is Random Racer. So I do not know why that didn't work, but anyway, we're just going to press on. All right,
Absolutely.
Sound fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other news of the week is we had probably the most significant tournament of the weekend. I think there was a one-day in Dallas, but there was also the Karaoke Classic. Have you ever attended the Karaoke Classic?
I have attended it. Yeah,
I have too.
twice.
It's a fun tournament. It's run by, I guess, Dan Stock, or certainly organized by him. And it's a tournament where you go over to it. I guess this year it was in Ohio. When I went, it was in Michigan. And you go and you play like a 2-day. It's 14 or 15 games, something like that. And but then the big night out there is the Saturday night, and you go sing karaoke. Did you sing any karaoke when you went?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
What did you sing?
Oh, geez. I made a parody song of, what song was it? It was a song by Muse, Uprising. So
wow,
I changed the lyrics around, so it was a bit of a pro Collins sort of, sort of song.
Well, and that's the deal with that tournament is people sing these songs and they replace the lyrics with Scrabble lyrics, and everybody has a fantastic time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't sing any. I didn't sing anything. I figured you'd have the same answer. I thought that was gonna go over. Okay. The winners of the Karaoke Classic include Darren True in NWLA, Joshua Ruark in Division B, and Joel Wapnick in Collins. Now, let's get into what I wanted to talk about tonight. You have been to 15 straight National or North American Scrabble Championships, with number 16 on the horizon in a few weeks. So that's a pretty impressive streak. I don't think you're setting a record. I think there are people who've gone for longer.
Definitely.
But, you're here. So let me ask you why. So 15 in a row. What is it about Nationals that keeps you coming back for more?
Well, it's really the premier tournament that we've got, at least within North America. And I love going to it for the same reason I love to go to any tournament. It's the camaraderie, seeing the friends. It's the competition of the games. It's the after-hours activities. And everything is just magnified on a bigger scale on the big stage at Nationals.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when I went to my first Nationals, and I loved it, and I had a number in my mind, and that was, I'm going to 10 of these. Yep. Now, I only ended up playing in 4, and then I started working them.
Yep.
But still, I think this is going to be number 8 for me or something like that. I'm not sure. But here's a challenge for you. You've been to 15 in a row.
Yeah.
Name them off in order. What cities were you in?
Okay.
Can you do it?
I think I can.
All right.
I think I can. All right. The first one was New Orleans. That was the big one in 2004. So
the big one.
I mean, after being to New Orleans and just the sheer spectacle, it was, I think, around 800 people. It was a huge
it was over
crowd.
800.
I mean, that really got me hooked. Then after that point, we had Reno.
Yes.
In 2005. 2006 was Phoenix.
Phoenix, okay.
2007, Dayton, Ohio.
All right.
Then we had Orlando in 2008. Then we're back to Dayton.
There were not two. Oh, I see. Okay.
Back to Dayton. Back to Dayton in 2009. Then 2010 and 2011, both Dallas.
Right.
2012. Oh, that's where I got tripped up before. That's Orlando again.
Okay.
Orlando again. Then 2013, Vegas.
Yes.
2014, Buffalo.
Yes.
2015, Reno.
Yes.
2016, Fort Wayne.
Yes.
And 2017 was New Orleans. 2018 was Buffalo.
Okay, that was
and now
six,
we're back
we
to
just
Reno.
counted 16.
We did.
I think you've been to 15, though. Anyway, we'll work out the math there.
Yeah,
but that's pretty impressive, I got to say. Because I was hoping to figure out how many I had gone to straight, and I started running out of fingers. So maybe it's not as many as I thought. Okay, what's your favorite Nationals of all time? Either for... Well, let's concentrate on city.
City, gotta say New Orleans.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah. I mean, on a lot of levels, that was the best. It's really tough to top.
And it's your first one.
Yeah, it was the first one. I just wish I knew as many people as I knew now back then. That was pretty early in my Scrabble career. I hadn't done much travel, so I didn't really know a lot of players outside of the Toronto area here. But yeah, I met a bunch of people there, and it was a fantastic time.
I feel like Oh my God. I just read one of Shelley's previous comments when we were talking about Scrabble study tools, and she said, I know a few Scrabble tools. I think she's put in double entendre on that. My favorite nationals of all time was, my first one was Vegas.
Yeah.
Right? Nice big thing. But again, I didn't know that many people. I met a few people who would go on to become friends at that nationals, for sure. But it's hard to top your first one. So if you haven't been to a nationals, there's still time to sign up for Reno. Okay. Now, let's ask you about Collins. You were an early adopter.
Yeah, fairly early. I wouldn't say I was right on the forefront, but I've been playing Collins more or less exclusively, pretty close to exclusively since around 2015, I'd say, 2014, 2015.
Okay. So what made you decide to flip over?
Variety of things. I like the idea of traveling outside of North America and being able to play. And being able to play in the Worlds, which at least in some years it's anyone can play, and it's hard to turn down an opportunity to play on that big stage. That's a big element for me. I like the game being more wide open. Collins does tend to promote that. You can fight through a lot of racks. I think it avoids some frustration that might otherwise occur. And once you switch, it is kind of tough to go back because, if you're used to playing certain words, especially those twos, flipping back and forth after a while becomes tricky. I did it for quite a while, where I was often a swing player, and I think it was helpful at tournaments that if we were shaping up to be odd in a given division, I could play in TWL or in Collins.
Those people are always super valuable.
Yeah.
Someone who directs tournaments.
Your Winters of the world. Brad Whitmarsh is another who flip-flops back and forth. I did that for quite a while, and after a certain point just decided, I'd prefer to play in Collins, and I'll play in TWL if it's needed to even rather than the other way around. So it was gradual. There wasn't like a switch that was flipped at any point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like, did you find any kind of, it is the very rare player who maintains both dictionaries. We've got Will in the comments. He's one of these monsters that can pull off that trick, apparently. But did you find any growing pains sort of once you started to make that switch and go back and forth, or it just sort of didn't matter?
It didn't make a lot of difference. At that point in time where I was switching, I was not doing any sort of formal study. So I wasn't terribly concerned about getting lexicons confused or anything like that. I mostly learned organically just as I played. That made it a little bit easier for me to go back and forth, because I would know that, well, I know all the threes in TWL at that time, so I'm not going to get confused and think that a Collins 3 is TWL. So I think if you're looking to play in both lexica, you've got to
compartmentalize.
You've got to compartmentalize. You probably don't want to study a Collins subset of words that you don't already know the TWL or the NWL analog of pretty cold.
Yeah.
If you have let's say the 5 vowel 8s, and you know most of them in NWL, but maybe not in Collins, then if you start learning the Collins ones, that's I think where you're likely to get tripped up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So me not knowing my 3's cold, that would be an impediment.
Well, if you wanted to switch back and forth, it could lead to confusion. But your opponents probably don't know cold either, and
sure. Except they always challenge my phony ones off. Okay, here's what I want to ask you about. I pulled some pictures from your Facebook feeds and wanted to ask you some questions about them. Juju, this is a pet name or a nickname or I don't know how you would describe it, that Shelley has given you. Can you give us the story? What's the origin of Juju, and how many people call you that?
A lot of people do call me that. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where it originated from. It actually would predate Shelley, at least to some degree.
What?
Back in university,
Yes.
There were people who would call me that. But yeah, Shelley is, I think, the one who promulgated the nickname there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And isn't there a story that there's so many Jasons that's why you're Juju, or is that not true?
Well, I mean, where it comes from mechanically is my initials are JU, and you just double it up.
Oh,
and you
yeah,
got
right.
Juju.
Okay,
So
that's a good point.
that's where it comes from. But yeah. Learn something new every day. There we go.
All right,
but there are a lot of Jasons.
It seems
Scrabble,
like Shelley is just entering wrong. So I don't know if that's to me or to you. Shelley, give us the full story in the comments, and we'll read them out. Okay, who are these critters here? Who are these? What am I looking at?
Well, those are our cats.
Yes. What are their names?
Topsy and Turvy.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Can we tell the difference between them on the left and right?
Yep. Well, it's hard to tell because we're covering up part of Topsy's more distinctive features. Turvy is on the left there.
Yes.
And that's Topsy on the right. The easiest way to tell them apart is their paws, which you can't see at the moment. Topsy has white paws, and Turvy's are black and dark colored.
Okay, I'm going to try to set the record straight on your nickname here. Shelley says your initials are JJU, and when you guys met, she said, "Oh, like and Jujubee." Does that ring any bells?
Yeah.
And then your college friends called you JJ.
Yeah, usually.
Okay, all right.
It had come up before, but yeah, it was definitely Shelley who popularized it.
Okay, very good.
I think she did probably come up with it independently. Even it was more of a coincidence that it was used before.
Right. So
we're probably gonna have a long argument about this when she gets home.
Okay, now these cats seem like a big. We're covering one of them, but they really seem like they're very loving cats.
Yep.
And I see them on Facebook all the time.
Yeah, you will. Shelley takes many pictures of them, and many of them also get posted. Looks like in this particular picture, I am sick.
Right. There we go. I want to make sure we can get
by our
both.
two cats. Yeah.
It's tough to get a picture of these cats sometimes, depending on their coloring, right? Like they look like they could be blankets.
Yeah, they do camouflage. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the next set of pictures. Oh, one thing that I know you for is like meals are always a big deal. This you can barely see anything in this picture, but you always go to these big group dinners at these tournaments. So what do you like about doing that? And I'm going to get a better picture up here.
Well, a lot of it is just gabbing with people, and it's not even necessarily about Scrabble. Just a way to spend more time with my friends, really. And I love the fact that you can go to a big tournament, and you know like 40 people, so you just take any subset of 6 of them, and off you go.
Absolutely. And for those of you that I would imagine everybody watching NASPA Tonight has played in a tournament, but if you haven't, this is one of the cool things about it. I thought you were just going to say because of the food that you really enjoyed. Anyway,
I do enjoy food.
Sure. Well, obviously, me too. But I really like this picture with the nom.
That one's not even Scrabble related.
Okay, so why don't you tell me a little bit more? We can't do that. We can't cut. Hold on. Here we go. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about Shelley and what it's like? Because Shelley used to play a little bit more and not as much now. Yep. Right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what that's like, how you guys, kind of operate and all that kind of stuff. And just tell me about Shelley. I thought this would make for a nice segment.
Sure. Well, at first, we were both, I'd say, equally diehard tournament players. So we would always go to the same tournaments together. We'd play together. We'd play each other often, and that was our norm. At one point, Shelley diverged a bit from her enthusiasm for actually playing the tournament games. She's much more of a fan of playing in like a bar type environment, a more informal sort of format. But she would still go to a lot of the same tournaments I did. Even if she wasn't playing, she'd be going just to hang out or to work the social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shelly and I have worked together on this project for social media reps. And Shelly does a great job and has covered a bunch of different tournaments. And, that's actually something that we're looking for more people to do, because right now it seems like it's kind of Shelly or I that do it. So anyway, if people are interested in that sort of thing, definitely let me know. Here's a nice picture of the two of you. So, I always like to, when I can, mix in, obviously some fun. We try to have some fun in these tournaments.
Yeah.
But there's always, it's always nice to see a little bit of emotion from our guests. So can you tell me, what Shelly means to you? You love this woman. Can you give me something? I want to make the audience cry. That's what I want to know. What does Shelly mean to you, Jason?
You're gonna make me cry.
That's perfect. That's what I want.
I mean, she means everything. She's my partner for life, and I met her through Scrabble, but our bond is way beyond that. And it's great to see how many relationships spring up through Scrabble. And early in my Scrabble career, people would tell me, "Oh, yeah, that's what it's all about." Like you meet people, and I went, "Yeah, okay, maybe that happens." But then when it happens, it's just really special.
Awesome. That's great. Very good. Okay, can you explain this to me? What is going on in this picture?
That is a bit of an enhanced picture. Shelly, at one point, was pretty hardcore into photography, was looking at doing it for a living, and I was an experimental test subject here. I don't even know what that feature is called, but it's created this little fireball, like in Street Fighter or something, like a Hadouken thing. She's playing around with that, and it's an interesting picture, and I think it's my
it's your current
it's my current
picture.
Facebook profile picture. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, so I think this has been a fun little conversation. If people don't know you already, I think a lot of people do. I think they would have learned something about you in this tournament. I want to encourage everybody to really consider July 4 coming up in a couple of weeks. I want to say thanks to you for coming into the studio.
No problem.
It's always a lot more fun in person than like across the screens. If anybody wants to appear on NASPA Tonight, hit me up. We're going to be moving to a much more, this episode probably marks the beginning of it, but a much more NASC focused topics or theme between now and when we go to Reno. That's what I'm trying to say. And I want to thank everybody for watching and for supporting this show. And yeah, I don't know. And as I always say, support your local directors. They're working hard for you. And Jason, thanks for being a great guest, great roommate, and for driving my ass around.
No problem.
Fantastic. Okay. Good night, everybody. We'll see you. We'll see you next week. What's next? Yeah, we'll see you next week. July 2nd may be off. We'll see what happens. But good night, everybody.